Where's my phone at? Oh, here it is. Furious typing. Hey, D20. Let's go. As well. Watching those, I just want to be part of your symphony memes. Oops. Sorry, I'm just finishing this mission of Warframe first. It'll be quick. Once the timer on the side hits 20 minutes, we'll leave. So it's only like 2 minutes, but this will give time for people to get in here. Orbius disc. Oh, he's probably killed a Kuba Guardian. Boom. Oops. There we go, now I can see. How's all that noise? Oh yeah, this stream. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, we'll be starting it in a little bit. I'm just waiting, trying to finish up this mission.
Prepare for life support. You have found a Kuba catalyst. Attach it to a life support capsule to begin harvesting Kuba.
There's the hole in the wall. There it is. D20, don't look at the screen because I know you get nauseated when I play. Is this? This is War of the Frames. We'll be starting soon, don't worry.
Life support capsule is now available.
Where the hell is Extract? Up here? Okay. I'll just join the rest of the team. I don't really give that much of a shit about the Kuva. Everybody fight across the bridge. Man, I'm just picking up Orbius discs like they're candy right now. Bang. Yeah, no, I know. I play like a schizophrenic when I play this. Because I'm like, all over the place. There probably is something wrong with my brain. Anyway. Oh, we hit it. Okay, one second. I want to do something cool. Watch this. Ready? And they all die. Okay. Now we get out. Everybody's waiting on me.
Another job well executed. Life support incoming.
How many Orbius discs did I pick up? 4? I have 14 of them, but just go to your other screen. Cool, cool, cool. Alright. I haven't watched that many Ghibli movies, and I don't remember most of the ones I watched. Yeah, we'll be getting into, like, the parameters for this list in a moment. Holy crap, level 30. That is one crazy person. Wave. Yippee! Only 3 more levels till I can actually get E10 extract again. Okay. 1 second. I will swap off of Warframe. I wanted to do that because I imagine the stream is going to take me past 9 o'clock for me, and that's when the game resets, so I didn't want to miss out on getting 7,000 Battle Pass experience, which is the most you can get in a week for a certain type of mission. Hey, Blank Arrow, how's it going? Okay, what should we put on as background music? Close that. I need this open. Like, I have a whole notepad of notes, just like jot notes for when I yap. Oh, shit. Shit. Please don't tell me you cancel the stream. Okay, it's still going. Whew. Okay. That was a little worrying. You can perceive the screen once again. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. So what's your favorite Pokemon? My favorite Pokemon is a Darkrai. I made a whole video about how we burned down a forest in Pixelmon to get him. Yeah, Darkrai is my favorite, though. Hey, I'm in your server and already noted which are the best. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Okay, thank you, Blank Arrow. I did post the list a while ago, so if you don't want to be surprised, don't go looking for it. But if you want to know in advance, it's in there. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what I want to put on as music for this. Is there like a... No, it's probably copyrighted. Let's just go with this. This is a nice enough theme. Yeah, this works. This will work. There's Coma. Okay. Just another moment. Let's set this up properly. Yep, that's on the correct one. Okay. Cool. Okay. We're all good. We're good. Alright. So, I've seen a couple of Ghibli movies growing up. And then a couple months ago, well, a couple months ago, probably about a year ago now, they moved a bunch of Ghibli movies onto Netflix as part of like a streaming deal, as far as I'm aware, to raise funds, I think, for The Boy and the Heron. I'm gonna move this up a little bit. Can I? No. All right, whatever. I think that was the reason why. Anyway, they came to streaming on Netflix in Canada. That's the main part. So I got to thinking, I haven't been watching a lot of anime. My anime expertise level has not been increasing in the last few years. So I figured, why don't I sit down and watch through all the Ghibli movies? Because I've seen a couple of them. I've seen a handful. I had seen Totoro when I was a kid. I'd seen Ponyo when I was a kid. I'd seen Spirited Away. I'd seen Howl's Moving Castle. And I'm not sure what else. So I decided I'm just going to go from scratch. I'm going to start at the oldest Studio Ghibli movie, and I'm going to watch them in the order they were released. Okay? And that's what I did. I watched through every single Studio Ghibli movie that was on Netflix in the order that they released from, I think it was 1984 with Nausicaa the Valley of the Wind. I basically just followed the Wikipedia page here. I just followed all of these feature films from Studio Ghibli. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, that's not technically Studio Ghibli. It's the same people. They just renamed the company. Shut up. Now, these ones here, I didn't even recognize these. I think these are Studio Ponic, which I believe are people who worked at Ghibli and might have gone off to make something else. I'm not really sure. I know, like, I was checking a couple of these, and these were Studio Ponic. I know these two were. I'm not sure about the rest. I'm not going to rank them, because I don't know anything about them. Furby next to my bed just screamed. I'm so sorry. I was just thinking, I feel like some Bravely songs might have a Ghibli feel, but I was thinking about the BD1 overall theme. Oh, I could put that on after this. This is only 15 minutes, and we're going to be here for longer, I promise. Okay, so below here, we have every single Studio Ghibli movie I've seen, except for two, which I also have to throw into here. And I'm going to give the reasons why, because they actually are included on the Wikipedia page. So the two that I didn't watch were The Red Turtle and Earwig and the Witch. Just looking at that picture, I feel disgusted, and I do not want to watch Earwig and the Witch. It's also 3D animated. I'm not saying all 3D animation is bad by that. I'm saying I want to watch the 2D animated Ghibli films. I don't want to watch the 3D one. So we're not watching Earwig and the Witch. Goodbye. For The Red Turtle, this, from what I understand, it's an international co-production between Studio Ghibli and several French companies. It's a 40-minute silent film. It has no dialogue. Sorry, it's 80 minutes. My apologies. I thought it was only 40 minutes. It's an 80-minute, no dialogue film, and it's a cooperation between Ghibli and some other people. I don't know. I didn't see it. It wasn't on Netflix. I didn't watch it. So we're not... My inner completionist is in pain. Mine too. I was going to, but neither of those two were on Netflix. And I feel like people honestly do not give that much of a shit about these two. So I'm not really too worried about missing them. I was a little sad. I would have liked to see them, but I'm not interested in bringing myself beyond just looking for them on Netflix. I wasn't taking that this seriously. This was just more of like for me to experience more Ghibli movies, because like everyone I talk to that's watched anime is like, or a lot of people I should say, not everyone, but a lot of people have like watched a lot of the Ghibli movies and they have their opinions on what's their favorites. And you always hear, oh, Howl's Moving Castle is the best, oh, Spirited Away is a masterpiece, Princess Mononoke is fantastic, all this stuff, right? And I didn't really have the anything to comment on. I didn't have anything to say about that, so that's why I sat down and I watched through them all. So we're going to start from the oldest one and work our way to the newest, which is The Boy and the Heron, which I have seen. That is included on the list of ones I'm going to rank. I want to make this very clear. As I said this at the beginning of the Mountain Dew one, this is my list. I rank them for any reason. These are my reasons. If you disagree, that's fine. I don't care. I'm not here to change minds. I want to make that very clear. I'm just here to present my opinions, just like I've been yapping on the channel for the last 2 months. I promise you now, if you enjoy Studio Ghibli films, there's probably going to be a couple opinions here that are going to make people upset. I promise you now, going in, all in F tier. Yeah, they're all bad. End of stream. Good night, everybody. No, there's going to be ones that make people upset. I 100% know that people are going to disagree with some of my opinions. Other things to take into account, I only watched some of them once, like a good chunk of them. A couple I've rewatched a few times, and I watched the English dubs when I could, because a lot of people just tend to watch that. So I watched a lot of English dubs, not so many subs, only when like really I had no option for watching subs. And that was only like a couple of them, which I didn't really mind. I'm not like a sub or dub elitist. I don't really care either way. Yeah. It has been a little bit since I've seen some of them, and I might make a few mistakes, but I've sat down this afternoon and I like went through all my notes and like tried to refresh myself as best I could. So if I make mistakes and you know that it is a mistake, call it out in the chat. If you have any questions about any of my opinions on anything, please do not hesitate to ask immediately. I will happily respond to any questions on opinions on parts of movies, about why I feel certain ways about certain ones. Absolutely, go for it. I'm more than happy to explain. Alright, I filled up my water bottle previous, so I don't need to go out and do that. And with all that out of the way, let's finally get started, shall we? Alright. So our very first one, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Very long title. This was right before they actually became Studio Ghibli. And for our very first one, we're going to put it nice and solid in A tier. This one was pleasantly surprising. It looked a lot better than I thought it would. Like 84 is like... I grew up watching Robotech, the weird amalgamation show of Macross. And, you know, I'm used to that age of art style, so, like, Nausicaa kind of impressed me a bit that it came out at around the same time as Macross and Robotech. And, I don't know, there's just some other level of effort that Ghibli has behind its movies that is genuinely impressive. It was really, really pretty looking. I'm surprised by how mature this one was. That was something that caught me off guard by a couple of movies, but Nausicaa right off the bat, it felt just slightly more mature than I was expecting. I did pick this as a read in a manga club amongst friends, but I didn't actually finish reading it, because it more or less felt like a one-to-one reading of the movie. Also, I just didn't have the time. Octopath 2 curse. But I really like Nausicaa. I think I highly recommend it. It's not like all the way up there on my A tier. It's actually in the lower half. But I do think it is still one of the stronger Studio Ghibli movies. A lot of them are pretty strong. It's hard to like make this list because I don't think there's like a lot of Ghibli movies that I consider genuinely bad. So when I'm putting things in like a B tier, that's still like above average for most movies that are out there today, right? So like being an A tier already is already like you're really really doing something special. But S tier is like ungodly good. Yeah, I don't have a lot more to say about Nausicaa. Should I give a brief plot synopsis to the best of my ability based on each of these for people who don't know them? Should I do that? I feel like I should. If you haven't seen these movies, it might help. I can't tell if my chat's frozen or if it's just quiet. Aiden's fine either way. I'm not going to spend like 20 minutes explaining it. I just like gave a brief description. Okay, I'll give a brief description, especially because like I plan to turn this into a video. Giant bugs, yeah, D20. I'll give a brief description for each one just because like I plan to make this into a video after. And then that way people who haven't seen them like have a general idea of like what's going on. So basically, Nausicaa is in a post-apocalyptic world, which was one thing that really caught me off guard, is that the first one was a post-apocalypse story. Where humanity's kind of been shot back to a almost medieval state. They still have like flying planes and stuff. They're starting to get their technology back together. But there's giant insects, and the forests and the insects spread extraordinarily rapidly if one of their spores infects something. So it's just, it's how do I describe it? It's been a while since I watched it, but Nausicaa has the ability to well, not sympathize. She's like an empath with the bugs, so she can kind of speak with the creatures, and she's basically just trying to bring peace to both the insects and the warring human tribes that remain and all that. It's good. It's a, again, really shitty explanation, I know, but it's really good. I highly recommend it. A tier. Good stuff. Okay, next on the list is... okay. We are on Castle in the Sky. And we're already off to a fantastic start because we're going right from A tier into S. I did not expect to like Castle in the Sky as much as I fucking did, and I love this movie. This is amazing. I own two. I've bought 2 Ghibli movies on Blu-ray since going through this little excursion of watching through Ghibli movies. This is one of them. The other one is my number 1 favorite because this is number 2. And even on some days, I still debate with myself whether I like Castle in the Sky more than my number 1 Ghibli film. It is very hard to decide sometimes. But yeah, Castle in the Sky is the definition of what I would call an adventure film. I find a lot of things, even games especially, I don't like the descriptor action adventure because it's just too generalized, I feel. An action adventure just... everything feels like it's action adventure. When something's described as adventure, they really mean action adventure because it's just... it's violent and there's guns and, you know, crazy stuff. And I'm not saying that Castle in the Sky doesn't have guns, but... this truly feels like the adventure is the big focus of this movie, and that's why I love it, amongst other things. It's a very simple story, but it's a great one. So basically the plot is that there's a girl who falls out of the sky after being kidnapped by a group of individuals and who get attacked by pirates who also want to get their hands on her. She falls out of an airship, and the crystal necklace around that she's wearing saves her from the fall, and she lands in a little mining town with a boy named Patsu. And this leads to the two of them working together, teaming up with people they thought would be enemies to try and find a castle in the sky known as Laputa. It's a missing kingdom that used to be, there used to be a whole bunch of them, and they all disappeared or crashed, and Laputa is a rumored one that's still floating through the sky. So it's a big hunt for everybody to try to find Laputa. And it's just really good. It's a longer movie of the Studio Ghibli collection, but it is good. It is... I love this movie. The opening credits has one of my favorite moments of any Ghibli film. There's a lot of my favorite moments in this particular movie. But the opening credits, when it's really, really quiet, and it cuts to Sheeta falling down through the sky again, and the music just swells out as her necklace comes to life, and the light envelops her, and she's saved from falling. Like, goosebumps every single time I see that scene. It is so good. I'm having a hard time. I feel like I'm not describing these well enough. It's so hard to do these without a proper script. Is that the one with the golem and the flower and maybe the evil guy with the glasses is memed a lot online? Yes, this is that one. Yeah. There's robots, there's advanced technologies, there's pirates and airships. It's like a pretty quintessential Miyazaki movie. I'm just gonna put on some more music. Put on some Countessla music. Maybe if someone is Countessla extended, that'd be nice. I like Countess's theme quite a bit. Sorry, just 1 second. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Yes, I really, really, really like Castle in the Sky. Patsu, I think, is my favorite Studio Ghibli protagonist as well. He's like everything I love in a nice protagonist. He's extraordinarily kind, he's brave, and he's not stupid, is the other big thing. He knows to take care of Sheeta, but the thing is that, like, I find a lot of modern movies, like, a nice character is always treated as nice guys don't finish last. It's always, you're naive more than you are nice. Tiz Order. Yeah, Tiz. But Tiz is a little bit of, he's a lot like Tiz, but he's more intuitive than Tiz. So, like, there's a moment when they're trying to escape both the pirates and the military. They're chasing Sheeta and Patsu down. And when the military arrives on the train tracks that they're running away from the pirates on, Patsu's like, oh, the military, they'll deal with the pirates. And he looks at Sheeta, and Sheeta's, like, backing away from them, and she doesn't say a word. She doesn't explain anything. He just goes, what? And immediately, as soon as she runs, I could see in, like, other animated movies or kids' movies like this, all the military would run after Sheeta, and they'd catch her, and Patsu would be like, what's going on? No. In this one, Patsu realizes the problem and starts messing with the military to stop them from going. And so does the guy that was conducting the train. Like, actually using their brain is just so refreshing to see, which feels like such a low bar to meet. But, God, it is so refreshing in this movie. I really, really like Patsu, and I really love his dynamic with Sheeta. I think they're a really, really good power couple. The main theme of this movie, the motif, is incredible. I love the main motif, especially when it's applied in Confessions in the Moonlight, when Sheeta and Patsu are like halfway through the movie. They're sitting on top of an airship, keeping watch. And they just kind of have a little chat for a while, and it's this really nice scene. And Confession... I would play the music, but I'd probably risk a copyright. Well, I mean, I'm playing video game music. I'll play a little bit of Confessions. Let's see if I can get away with it. We'll see how long. I am pushing boundaries. I'll probably get away with Confessions in the Moonlight, but I won't... Not if I do the... Like, I love this motif. It's so good. Hey, Soph, you've watched Castle of Cagliostro? Okay, cool. I have not, unfortunately. But just hearing this while they're up there talking with one another was really, really sweet and tender. And I love this movie so much. Yeah, this is just such a nice theme. I think I mentioned this to somebody before, but this track reminds me a lot of it reminds me of the Bravely soundtrack. It reminds me of The Day the Wind Blew. It has the same kind of vibe for me, and I think that's why it resonated. Plus, like, the whole, following the crystal necklace to the secret place. Like, it really had the same kind of adventure that BD1 had for me. So I think that's why a lot of it resonated for me in watching it. Yeah, it's a really, really good movie. I would highly... Anything in S tier is going to be, like, my top recommendations if you haven't seen them. Absolutely. And Castle in the Sky is going to be very much up there. So, I've been talking about this one long enough. Like, I adore this movie. Like, as I said, any day of the week, this could be, like... I might swap this with my number one pick anytime. It's... I go back and forth on it all the time. It's really tough. Oh, and of course, the English dub is fantastic, too. I should add that. Okay. Next up is My Neighbor Totoro. I don't know why Grave of the Fireflies is there. Is Grave of the Fireflies on here? Yeah, okay. My Neighbor Totoro. Okay. This is one that might upset a couple people. It's not the big upset. I have one that's really going to make people sad. I think that maybe this theme of the horizon, endless lights, and the shadows reminds me of. Oh, yeah, okay. Blame my brother. Okay, Totoro. This one's going to probably upset a couple people, but I'm going to put this in C tier. So, I watched a lot of Totoro as a kid because I had it on DVD. I don't think it's bad. I think there's only 2 Ghibli movies that I actually consider as bad, instead of just mid. One I actively hate, and one I do just consider to be a bad movie. Totoro's not bad. It's just boring. Like, I liked it a lot as a kid because getting to see Totoro and the mascots and all that, that was enough for me back in the day. But now, there's not enough going on in the movie. It's a little bit slow. If you don't know what Totoro is about, it's about a father taking his 2 girls and moving out to the country so they can be closer to their mother, who is sick in hospital. And it's about, adjusting to rural life and country life. But also, the girls develop a connection with the spirits in the countryside and in the forest. One of which is Totoro, the company mascot. And there's also the big cat bus, and a lot of really, really iconic scenes are in this movie. And that's fine. I enjoy those iconic scenes. It's the parts in between the iconic scenes, drags a bit. I really do think this one kind of drags. But I don't hate it. I really don't hate Totoro. I don't know. It's too... There's just not enough for me now. As a kid, if I was ranking this as a kid, I probably would have put this up into A tier. But it's not enough going on for me now. Yeah. It doesn't keep me as interested as I used to be. It's got a banger opening theme in the English version, though. Actually, I think both of them have the same song. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. The Hey, Let's Go. It's a really cute song. Yeah. There's going to be more edits that make this more entertaining in the video, I swear. My brother didn't like Totoro that much. Yeah, that's understandable. It's an alright movie, not a bad one. As a matter of fact, none of the Ghibli movies are bad. It's like ranking good to great with the catalog. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Like I said, I think there's only 2 movies that I actually dislike. And one of them is, like, I'm a hater for, and the other one is, it is just genuinely bad. the children's movie to war trauma binge watch. Yeah, we're getting there. Actually, let's just move right into it and move into the war trauma that everyone's been discussing. With Grave of the Fireflies. So this is one of the ones that I saw before seeing, going through this list. This one this one can be a hard watch. It's definitely very uncomfortable in some parts. For those unaware, Grave of the Fireflies is based on a semi-biographical novel written by a Japanese man who lived through the fire blitzes at the end of the Second World War, if I'm remembering correctly. And it's basically the same story. It's about a young boy named Seita taking care of his younger sister while the country is getting bombed, nuked. There's little food to go around, no jobs. Can be a hard watch. Yeah, it is a hard watch. But basically, it's just him trying to take care of his little sister in this hellhole state that Japan was stuck in after the Second World War. To give you, for those of you who haven't seen it, to give you context as to how sad it is, the movie starts with Seita dying. And then the rest of the movie is like a flashback of his life. He dies alone in a train station with a can filled with, spoilers, his sister's bones and ashes that the cleanup crew just takes and tosses out into the dirt. It's miserable. It's really miserable. But it's so good though too. It's such a good movie. It's really sad. Now, the thing that keeps it from S tier for me, because I think before I would have considered it S tier, but on a couple of rewatches, there's something in it that irks me. And again, this is kind of where, like, I need to emphasize that this is my tier list, and maybe other people might not feel this way. I gotta take a sip of water. The problem I have with Grave of the Fireflies is, at certain points in the movie, it dawns an attitude I do not like. It takes an approach not too different from, like, the older generations always know what's best. I'm not saying, like, you know, there's not wisdom to be earned from people older than you or have experience. It's definitely that case. But it treats it, or it comes across to me as, like, they should be obeyed, or only bad things are going to happen. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a stupid kid kind of attitude. And I don't like that. I generally heard Grave of the Fireflies was dark, but I didn't know that. Yes, it is extraordinarily dark. Like, the mom dies, and that's why he has to take care of her. And you see her, like, just completely wrapped in bandages, bloodied, burned. It's a very hard watch. Like, I said that earlier, but it is genuinely a very difficult watch. Especially in the last act of the movie, seeing the sister pass is... She dies from starvation, and you see her hallucinating. It's really, really rough, because this is like a 5-year-old kid. Like, she's so young. It's really, really tough to watch. But going back to, like, the problem that I had, it takes on this attitude sometimes that, like, only older people know what's best, and you're a stupid kid who doesn't know any better. And this kind of... And it... The reason I don't like it is because it comes across more as, like... Miyazaki or one of the writers kind of just talking down to younger people. It's a Japanese cultural thing that seniority is a big deal, so the whole listen to your elders thing is common. Yes, that is true. But it comes across as more of, like, a modern person saying it through the mouth of somebody who lived in 1945. I think that's the best way I can describe it. And it really comes across in one particular scene with Seita's aunt, where she basically starts doing the nagging of, oh, you're so useless, you don't have a job, you're eating all of our food, living in our house, and you're so useless. Why don't you get a job? Why don't you do something, go to school, Seita? And I'm not. The problem with I have with it is that she's not wrong, but because she's not wrong, there's no argument point made against it, so it automatically assumes that position is right. And I don't like the attitude that is given off in that scene, because Seita's trying. Like he's your fucking nephew. You should have some remorse. His mother just died. You're supposed to be taking care of him, and instead you're just being an obnoxious douchebag about it. That's what irks me about that part, is that she should be taking care of her nephew, not picking on him for not, being able to contribute as much. And I hate that. I really, really hate that shit. Anyway, Grave of the Fireflies, great movie. I just have a weird problem with it. And that will not be the last time we hear a weird problem that I have with a Studio Ghibli movie. Foreshadowing is a literary device. Oh, goodness. Alright, Kiki's Delivery Service. This was... Where did I put this? Ah, yes. I have a whole list here next to me. B tier. And it's pretty high in B tier. It's actually the second highest B tier. Kiki's is great. I really enjoyed Kiki's. Excuse me. Family can be real assholes, unfortunately, especially since this is apparently autobiographical. It's semi-autobiographical. The book that the movie is based on is semi-autobiographical. Yeah, so I don't know how much of the aunt thing is semi-autobiographical, which, either way, if the aunt was added or not by the directors or the movie makers, both are horrible, because if she wasn't added, then it feels like they really twisted that character, and if it was added, then it makes it seem even more like it's just a mouthpiece for that kind of attitude that I do not like. And the Persona 5 is considered a big deal in Japan because of the whole challenging your elders thing, while in the West is just normal. Yeah, that's totally fair. Anyway, Kiki's. I'm going to move on from that, because I'm going to keep talking about that shit all night if I don't stop. Kiki's Delivery Service. It's really cute. I like it. It feels a lot more like a whole packaged children's movie to me, but it does have a lot of really great themes and messages. The main theme that I picked up from it that I thought was interesting was the whole concept of moving away from home for the first time and the challenges that brings. That was like the central crux of that movie. It's about a young witch named Kiki who gets on her broom and flies to the city and tries to make a life for herself, and she ends up using her powers to have a delivery service for a bakery, I believe it was. And all kinds of mishaps happen. She makes some friends and stuff, and town doesn't really trust her at first because, oh, that's a witch. That's kind of odd, but then in the end, everybody loves Kiki. It has a very fairy tale kids story charm to it, and it's nice. It's really, really nice. I would recommend that one a lot, of course. I don't really have a lot to say about Kiki. I liked it. I felt like the ending was a little bit overblown for like the scope of problems in the movie, but it also resolved in the way that I expected a children's movie to happily end. And I realized that a lot of these are children's movies, but it was like more children's movie-y than like Castle in the Sky, where they actually spoiler. But I'm not going to spoil Castle in the Sky. No, fuck it, I'm not going to spoil. But like the way that they end Castle in the Sky feels like, oh, that's a bit more of like a serious finale, So Kiki's is like a little less that. It's definitely less mature for sure, but it covers mature themes in that kind of childish way, and I think that's super neat, and I like it. I do like it. I agree with the sentiment with Kiki. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say. It's just good. If you want to watch a little young witch trying to make her way in the world, go watch Kiki's Delivery Service. It's great. Alright, so the next two I'm going to talk about at the same time because they are exactly the same in my head. Like, I rank these two, if I could put these two at the same spot, like overlapping, I would. I didn't make this tier list, but if I did, I'd probably like reduce the opacity on one image and just put them on top of each other. And we're going to skip over a movie just so I can talk about these two together because it's easier. But we're going to talk about Only Yesterday and Ocean Waves. So these are exactly equal in quality in my mind. These are the exact same. My overall impression of rewatchability for these two is that I will only watch these two movies maybe 3 or 4 more times in my life, and then I will be completely fulfilled. I will never need to watch them again. I will not get anything else out of them. I did already watch Ocean Waves twice just to make sure of some stuff, but yeah. These are a little bit different. I may as well just explain the plots because I'm just losing my train of thought. Oh my god, this was a mistake to do. Okay, so Only Yesterday, if you haven't seen it, is about a young woman who takes vacation from her work life in the city to willingly go out into the countryside and do some work for her vacation. Like, that is what her vacation is. She goes out to the country and does, like, gardening work and farm work and stuff. Mostly, she's picking flowers for dyes, mainly. It's based on a manga, actually. And for most of the first half of the movie, and then teetering off towards the second half, but most of the first half of the movie is her reflections on her youth when she was in, like, middle school grade school. So, like, when she was in grade 5, 6, roughly. And it's a lot of just, like, short moments of her life that she's reliving and just, like, thinking back on. And I think it's really sweet. I really like it. It feels very honest. It feels very genuine. It feels like actual kind of moments that would maybe stick out in somebody's head, or memories that they would hold on to, perhaps. Or, like, genuinely feel like weird memories that might come to the surface when they're thinking about their past. And it's nice. I liked it. I wouldn't say I love this movie. I just say I like it. Yeah. Now, as I said, this is about, like... The movie ends on her deciding to leave her job in the city and live in the country with a guy that she met there. And this is, like, a very obvious theme that Miyazaki loves. He has a lot of themes that he really likes to do. His main 3: environmentalism, so taking care of the environment, rural life is better than city life, or country life is better than city life, and the youth leading the way into the future. Those are, like, the 3 themes he seems to really like covering. And this one does the rural better than city really strongly. Ocean Waves is a tougher recommend. I like Ocean Waves. After the first 30 minutes, Ocean Waves is a snore for the first 20 to 30 minutes of this movie, however long it takes to get to the resort scene. Nothing, I mean nothing, happens in these first 30 minutes. It is a slow slog. It is an utter slog to get through the first 30 minutes of this movie. It's a lot of setup, and then there's more setup, and then it feels like there's nothing progressing the story until you get to the resort scene. And then that's when events are actually happening and things are kind of cascading into a plot. What Ocean Waves is about is it's another reflection story about a guy and the love triangle he was in between his best friend and a girl that had moved to their school, and both the guys were interested in at the time. I believe this one's based on a short novel, or a light novel in Japan. I think that it's part of a series, but I think they just did one book or something. Now, I know Ocean Waves was made cheap. The intention with Ocean Waves was to let some of the student animators try to make a film, I believe it was, on a low budget and just see what they could do. And I don't think it performed really well, so I don't know if they really did any more after that. But I think the presentation of Ocean Waves is really good. I think it's got a lot of interesting shots and direction behind, like, the kinds of scenes they created and the way that they show things. The thing about Ocean Waves is that it feels very real. So, like, where I said Kiki's Delivery Service feels real in, like, you know, the moving out and getting your first job kind of vibe, Ocean Waves, some of the stuff in this movie feels like it genuinely happened to somebody. Because it's just absurd enough to be an interesting story, but is still completely grounded in reality. There is no, like, fantastical elements in Ocean Waves at all. It is completely played straight. And I love it. It really feels like a true story almost. And I quite enjoyed it for that. Yeah. So, if you plan to watch either of these, Only Yesterday is really nice. There's a couple of weird bits, but, like, it's, again, you're reliving someone's past, and these are the kinds of things that you would remember as well from your life. And Ocean Waves, just sit through those first 20 minutes, just wait until the Hawaii resort scene. If you can get to there, that's when the plot actually begins, I promise you. And it's a shorter movie, too. Ocean Waves isn't very long. I think it might be less than 100 minutes. I'm going to double check. It's 72 minutes, so it's not even, it's almost an hour, or just over an hour. It's just over an hour long. So, like, Ocean Waves is very short. I do recommend Ocean Waves over Only Yesterday. It's alright, but this one I probably like a little bit more. But, like, if I had to give them exact scores, these place exactly in the same spot in my mind. Okay. Jumping back, because we skipped over one when we were doing these two together. Porco Rosso. This one is also in B, and I put it above these two. It's actually right behind Kiki. I enjoyed this more than I expected. I didn't think I was going to like Porco Rosso very much. I thought it was going to be silly man is turned into a pig, and he has to figure out how to get himself turned back. Nope. He does not give a shit about the fact that he's a pig. The man does not care that he's a pig. It probably bugs him. But the movie isn't really focused on that. It's just focused on planes and bounty hunters flying around Italy and weird love relationships and just, like, him not being an asshole for 2 seconds. He's a pig who flies a plane that bounty hunts other fighter people, and the army keeps trying to conscript him, I think, or catch him. The details are a little fuzzy right now, I apologize. But Porco Rosso, yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought. The reason it's in B is because the pining for children was not fun. She was like 14. What the fuck? Why do we end the movie on the 14-year-old giving a kiss to the 30-year-old? Why do we have all of the other dudes, like, being horny for her? I know it's Japan, but, like, come on. Come on, Ghibli. You could have gotten out of that one. Come on. That wasn't necessary. I didn't like that. Alright. Porco Rosso. This is good. I should rewatch it. I should rewatch it and see if I feel the same, but I probably do. Alright. I don't have a lot to say about these ones. I have ones that I have a lot to say, and then ones I don't really have a whole lot. I have a funny story relating to Porco Rosso. Yes. I forgot I watched it until my brother talked about it after we were done watching Mononoke, and I remembered nothing from the former beforehand. Yeah, it's... I know some people say, like, it's really good, and I'm like, I don't really see it. Like, it's definitely not bad. It's a lot more entertaining than all three of these that are here on the list so far. But it's like, it doesn't beat out anything that's above here. Like, there's a hard line right here that stops it from getting over. Alright, Pom Poko. This one is also in B tier. This one's actually at the bottom of B tier for me. Pom Poko, I think I was very much past the ideal age for seeing this on the first time. I feel like I should have seen this when I was 8. I don't hate it, but it is very kids movie core. Like, I got more at a Kiki's than I did Pompoko for, like, theming. There's important stuff in Pompoko, like... It's basically about a group of Tanuki who try to chase out humans that are destroying their forest to expand, like, buildings and, what do we call it? Not suburbia, but, like... You know what I'm saying? They're trying to build in the forest, and the Tanuki don't want them tearing down the forest. That's the story. But yeah, I feel like this. I should have seen this when I was 8 years old. It had a very Care Bears vibe to it. Like, when I was watching the whole thing, it felt like Care Bears, and I don't know why. I think it might have been like the deep-voiced male narrator and like all these fuzzy animals in the woods with mystical powers fighting against humans. I think that might have been what did it. It's got some weird stuff going on in it with the animations too, which is cool. Because like there's like really well drawn raccoons, and then there's like these simplistic cartoony Tanuki they'll turn into, and then there's like the normal look that the Tanuki take on, and they switch between them a lot because they are shapeshifters, and I think that's super duper neat. The English dub calling them raccoons the whole time, when they were very clearly Tanuki, and the censors just did not want to address this in the slightest, is very funny to me, especially when they start using their nutsacks as parachutes. It's like, at that point, come on, guys. You can't just call them raccoons. I know the 8-year-olds in America won't understand. They won't know what a raccoon is. They will assume that they are like raccoons. You can just call them Tanuki. The nutsacks are too big to be raccoons. Yeah. Pompoko's fun, though. It's fun. But I do think that, like, it's way more children's movie core than some of these other ones. Like, probably on par with, like, Kiki's to me. And maybe Totoro. Yeah. But it's fun. It's got some good stuff. And good voice acting, too. Hold up, about the nutsack parachutes? Yes, what would you like to know? Do you guys know what Tanuki are? I feel like that's an especially common thing between Western and Japanese translations, or rather earlier ones. Oh, it absolutely is. Look at Pokemon. God, I love jelly donuts. He doesn't say God. What does he say? Fuck, I love jelly donuts. Yeah, Brock referring to onigiri as a jelly donut is like, that's a really well-known one. And like, I know that's a common thing, but it's just really funny to me when they just keep calling them raccoons, and you have these shape-shifting, you know, Tanuki mythical creatures just going around causing mischief, and much like, raccoon dogs are not raccoons. Thank you. Sorry, yes. I think they did call them raccoon dogs. Sorry, not the same thing. But yeah, they just keep referring to them as raccoon dogs for the whole thing, and it's just like, it's just really weird and funny. Because just like, I know what they are. We don't need to pretend here. Or the Shadow Realm. Yeah, Shadow Realm's hell. Yeah. It's like, I get it. I know what a Tanuki is. You don't have to pretend for me. But I know it's not pretending for me. It's pretending for kids, or kids of, you know, whatever year this was translated over. You know? Yeah. Anyway, not much more to say about Pompoko. Whisper of the Heart. This one might surprise people. I'm not sure if it will or not. This is the top of A. Nothing beats this one out. This is the guardian of getting into S tier. I really, really liked Whisper of the Heart. It was one of the ones that I've rewatched since doing this list. Castle in the Sky I've watched like 4 or 5 times since then. This one I rewatched once, but I really, really enjoyed it a lot. I need new music. Let me relax. Brave default music? Yeah, thanks, Xenon. We'll take this. Whisper of the Heart is a coming-of-age romance story about a young girl who likes to write and read. And how do I explain it past this? she keeps picking out books from the library, and every time she picks one out, it's already been taken out before her by another person by the same name over and over again. She keeps seeing this name, and she keeps trying to find books that don't belong to this guy, and this kind of leads down a bunch of other avenues of her, like, deciding what she wants to do with her life, of being a writer, and trying to find out who this guy is. And there's a lot of different little plot threads going on, but it's really, really sweet. I just got back, but I think I've watched this one somewhat recently. Whisper of the Heart? Nice. I was worried when watching Whisper of the Heart that I was getting Terabithia. Does anybody here remember when the Bridge to Terabithia movie came out from Disney? The one with, I can't remember his name. Josh Hutcherson. That was his name. That when that came out, and like all the advertising had like all the scenes of the the kids using their imagination in the woods and then punching monsters and fighting stuff, and then you go watch the movie and it's just a really sad coming of age story about losing your best friend because she drowned in a river. What the fuck? It's like, and then they intentionally came out and said, yeah, we had to mislead people to get them into the movie. Yeah, so like I was worried. That was a really long tangent to explain. I was worried that was going to happen with Whisper of the Heart because the only scenes I had seen of Whisper of the Heart prior to watching it was all the scenes of the fucking storybook that the girl was writing. However, the stuff that wasn't that was good. Like, the rest of the movie is good. The one that builds itself as fantasy. Exactly, yeah. The first few interactions between those two characters are really good and funny. Yeah. The two main characters, the two love interests, are really, really good together. I like them a lot. The movie also has another theme or motif that gets carried through. Country roads. What? Why? Why is country roads I was deeply confused because when the movie opened and it started playing Country Roads, I'm like, is that Country Roads? I'm like, oh my god, it is. Why are we doing Country Roads? And then they just keep singing it multiple times throughout the movie, and I was like, getting very confused, and I was like, okay, is this like some super weird like forced translation thing, like how they kept calling the Tanuki raccoon dogs? But no, it's just like an integral part of the story. I thought that was really funny. I think the reason that Whisper of the Heart really clicked for me, got it up so high, is because I like to read and I like to write. I've recently gotten back into my reading habits. I've gotten through Dune, I've gotten through Dune Messiah, I've still got to get through Children of Dune. I'm currently reading through a cyberpunk book written by one of the screenwriters from Cyberpunk Edgerunners called No Coincidence. It's really fucking good. I'm like 2/3 of the way through, and it is very good so far. I am heavily enjoying this book. I'm probably going to read more of it after I get off stream. Yeah, I've been reading a lot more lately, and so like I think that's why this one really struck a chord for me, is because like I would have liked to have something like this happen when I was younger. I wish. I wish I was that lucky to have an adventure like that. But it's really sweet. I really like Whisper of the Heart. You know, top of A, nothing's going to be moving it down. Getting Terabithia by country roads. Getting Terabithia is a good term. I've been wanting to rant about that for ages, but I've never found the right time until now. Terabithia is, God, that movie. It's not a bad movie, it's just that they misled the shit out of people. Copyright claims, why do you want to attack? Copyright claims, why do you want to attack? Whisper of the Heart. Very nice, very nice. Okay. What's next? One last note. I almost forgot. The Baron is cool. I have my notes here. It says the Baron is cool. I have to make that clear. The Baron is very cool. The little statue, the cat, he looks cool. I like him. All right. On to another big one. Princess Mononoke. I want to see where you guys think this one's going. Let's see if you know me well enough. Where's this one going? Where are we putting Princess Mononoke? Where does this go? I want to see if you guys know me. If anybody from Morbs is watching, you're not allowed to answer because I was talking about all my picks as I was watching through them. I have also seen this one recently. Good stuff. Triple SSS Diamond tier, baby. You are correct. Blank Arrow is correct. Okay. B or A. I would say mid A coming from you, but maybe not. No, Blank Arrow is actually correct. Remember how I said Castle in the Sky was number 2? Princess Mononoke is number 1. I will pause this and risk. I will risk copyright on this one.
Introduce.
Nope. Avino, go away. I don't need you. I will risk it on this one. I love Princess Mononoke. Princess Mononoke favorite film, Red not beating the edge line allegations. I'm just reinforcing them at this point. Yeah, shocker. I know. Princess Mononoke, my favorite. I know that when I was going through them, there was a lot of elements that I was picking up from different movies, and it was just like, man, if I had this part from Castle in the Sky, this part from Grave of the Fireflies, this part from Whisper of the Heart, and I had them all together, man, I would love this movie. It would be so good. It would be perfect. Mononoke is literally everything I ever wanted out of a Ghibli film. Are you making us watch Mononoke on stream? No, I'm just putting on the music. This is Ashitaka-san. This is everything. Literally everything I could ever want out of a Ghibli film was this one. It was more mature. It was a bit edgier, as D20 pointed out. It's a fantastic story. Really good characters. Beautiful music, as you can hear. Great visuals. Amazing English voice acting. Like, probably one of the strongest dubs of them all for Ghibli. It's just phenomenal through and through. I really love this movie. Like, I use the word love here, like the same way that I use Octopath 2 love. It is very, very dear to me. Fun fact, the deer is on the bootleg version of Pokemon Diamond for the GBC, which is actually a poorly translated version of the Telephone games. Nice. If you don't know what Princess Mononoke is, it starts off with a demon. It's set in, like, feudal era Japan. So there's still an era of mysticism going on. And I need context, yeah. So it takes place in feudal Japan, where there's still an era of mysticism going on, and a young prince of a tribe named Ashitaka fights against a demon boar to be exact. And the demon curses him right before he kills it, and Ashitaka is banished from his village because he's been touched by a demon, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why. But he is told that he should set out to find where this demon came from and why it was so angry, why the boar was, like, so pissed off. Because when they killed it, they found an iron ball inside its gut. And this sends Ashitaka on a journey across the nation, never to return, where he finds a small town of people that are mining iron out of the forest of the forest spirit. And there he comes across this long raging conflict between the denizens of Irontown and the beings and gods and spirits of the forest, and a human woman named San who has sided with the wolves and was raised by them. And it's just incredible. Like, I really, really love this movie. It manages to take all of Miyazaki's themes, which are environmentalism, Anti-war, I forgot to mention anti-war earlier, but it's environmentalism, or like rural is better than city life. Environmentalism, anti-war. No, I'm going to separate those. It takes Miyazaki's 3 favorite themes: environmentalism, anti-war, and youth leading the future, and does them all superbly. Like, every one of them. It's so well done. This song is the one that the movie ends on. It's a very, very beautiful send-off. Just, if you haven't seen Princess Mononoke, do yourself a favor and watch it. It is, there's a reason why so many people put it high up on their list, and I would have liked if I picked something better as my number one, but like, this is just, shut up. I wish I had picked something more interesting as my number one, but Princess Mononoke was just crafted for me. It's the Ghibli film for me. And that's why I keep emphasizing that this is my list, because there's a different Ghibli film for every person out there. There's always something different for everybody. So go out and watch them if you can. I really, really love Princess Mononoke. It's so unbelievably good. Like, what else can I talk about with it? The way the curse works and like feeds off of Ashitaka's rage, and you see him like suffer over the course of the movie and like actually struggle, which is really rewarding when he succeeds in the end. San's whole dilemma is great. Irontown you sympathize with to a degree. Like, it's all so good. I don't want to spoil it because it's so good. I really, really love it. Mononoke is the most recent. I did send a link, but just look up Pokemon Diamond and Jade. They're bootleg versions of a much lesser known series called Telefang that came out on both Game Boy Color. It's not a monster catching series where you help your monsters do your bidding. You actually call them through your game phone. Okay. Alright, yeah, that's enough yapping about Princess Mononoke. It's my favorite. Nothing. I'm just saying it right now. That's number one, so if that's what you were waiting to see, like, what's my favorite Ghibli film, there you go. It's number one, right next to Castle in the Sky. So, enjoy. Alright, on to the next one. My Neighbors the Yamadas. So, this is one probably some people haven't heard of. And it is going in the bottom of C. Again, we're not rating these as like, there's no such thing as a bad Ghibli movie except for 2. My Neighbors the Yamada. I'm speaking too quickly. I gotta slow down. Hold on. I gotta catch my breath. I'm going too quickly. Okay. There's no such thing as a bad Ghibli movie except for 2 of them. My Neighbors the Yamadas is not one of the... My Neighbors the Yamadas is not one of those bad movies. It's not a bad movie, but I never need to see it again. I've gotten literally everything I could ever get out of seeing it on the first watch. It's a little sketch comedy, not sketch comedy, but like a bunch of little skits about this, like, it's basically like Japanese Simpsons, if I can put it really poorly. It's like a bunch of skits about this family and just them having little wacky adventures and dumb stuff like that. It's saying Japanese Simpsons is like so off the mark, but it's the easiest way to simplify it. Yeah, it was a little comedy movie. It's funny. It was enjoyable. It had a dub, surprisingly. But I didn't love it. It's got a very different art style compared to most of the Ghibli movies. It doesn't have the usual look. Yeah, it's not bad. Maybe check it out. I don't know. It's... whatever. I don't have really a lot to say about My Neighbor the Yamadas. I have zero desire to rewatch it, but yeah. Okay, now on to another very popular take, Spirited Away. Spirited Away. If I don't put it in S, I'm going to be hung by people. Spirited Away is fantastic. There's a reason why it was the highest grossing Japanese film of all time for a very long time. until I think this Mugen Train for Demon Slayer movie came out. I think that one surpassed it. Yes, for Spirited Away, exactly. It's really good. Spirited Away is great. Here's the thing to know about it, though. If you come into the room and you see that I'm watching Spirited Away, there's a 95% chance that I'm having a really fucking bad mental day. This is my feel-good movie, as some people would put it. But it's really is my comfort pick. If I want to watch something, if I'm in a shitty mood, I'm going to put on Spirited Away. It's really, really nice. If you don't know what Spirited Away is, it is about a young girl named... I want to say Sen, but it's not Sen. It's... Fuck. I have the internet here. I'll just look it up. Why can't I remember her name? Chihiro! I'm such a fake fan. It's about a young girl named Chihiro moving to a new town, and as her family are moving into the town, like they're literally driving up to their new house, they take a detour and wind up at an old carnival grounds, an old amusement park. And while they're there, they somehow get sucked into the spirit realm unknowingly. The parents eat a bunch of food from that place. It turns them into actual pigs. And then Chihiro is stuck there. Thank you, Koma. And she has to, with the help of another couple of spirits and working her way through a spirit bathhouse, has to find a way to free her parents, turn them back into humans, and escape the spirit world. The first time I watched it, the plot isn't like the most of a straight arrow there could be. It's not like as linear as like Mononoke or Castle in the Sky. It's a little more wibbly wobbly. But when I rewatched it, I tried to put it in my head as like a Japanese Alice in Wonderland kind of scenario, and it made it fit a lot more, and I really, really like it now, thinking of it like that. I really enjoy thinking of it as like a Japanese Alice in Wonderland. It's my fourth favorite Ghibli film, which leaves number 3 as a secret. It's a way to keep you guys enticed. I don't know what I'm doing here. I suck with these strings. Yeah, it's really well animated, super good music, like very memorable tracks. I don't think there's another moment. There's only like a few moments in Ghibli films that quite match the feeling of when Haku remembers his name and it does the reprisal of the main theme, and the two of them are flying through the sky hand in hand. Oh, it's just wonderful. It's so nice. I will say, when I first watched it, I thought No Face had a much bigger role in the movie than it actually does. Because you see No Face everywhere. Like, it's one of those, like, iconic Ghibli icon characters. And he's not, like, really that important. Like, he's important, but he's not, like, the main thread or, like, there for the whole runtime. It's Yubaba that's the main thread, right? Really real well designed too. Like, there's so much detail in like some of the rooms, like Yubaba's palace and stuff. Oh, it gets crazy on how detailed it is. Yeah, Spirited Away, great. I'm just gonna use the washroom right quick because I gotta pee. Also unrelated, but I love sunlight filtering through the trees. It's an underrated Braver track. I fully agree. I'm gonna let it play while I use the washroom. I'm gonna be like 30 seconds. I will be very quick. And then we're going to talk about the cat returns. I definitely need to piss then, because I'm going to piss myself talking about it, because it's weird. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Okay. I should probably learn music theory some more. The second part of the song makes it feel something in me. Good. Music should do that. Okay, what are we on? Cat Returns, right. I'm gonna need to change the music for this one. We need something silly. I feel like that's too short. I feel like this is gonna get too short. We can move back to whatever. The Cat Returns is a spiritual successor to Whisper the Heart. And it involves a young girl who saves a cat that talks to her, and then all the cats want to bring her to the Cat Kingdom, which is run by the weirdest cat king imaginable. And she has to be saved by the Baron, who is now alive, from Whisper the Heart. So as I said, it's a bit of a spin-off of Whisper the Heart, but it's a bit weirder. How do I talk about this one? I think this is like the weirdest fucking movie experience I've ever had. I thought when the cats start marching down the street to go pick her up, I thought I was going to have a stroke. I am not kidding. Watching the cats move and then like them calling out to her and the Cat King being like, "What's good, baby?" Like, who directed the dubbing on this? I'm gonna have a stroke talking about it. Oh, this movie. It's so weird. I was so confused watching this movie. I do need to give it props. Okay, so let's talk about a couple things I give it props for. I'm just gonna repeat this. Main girl, whoever voiced the main girl this movie, I didn't know it had a connection to Whisper the Heart. Yep, because the Baron. It's the same, it's the Baron statue, but if it was a character brought to life, right? The main girl's VA, that is like one of the most realistic and natural sounding performances I've ever heard in a dub. I'm not even joking. I didn't even put it on the list yet, but Cat Returns, it's in B tier. Where did I put it in B tier? It's like, I think it was my second, it's the top of B tier. It's so weird that I would watch it again. Main girl's VA killed it. Absolutely killed it. Like, there's some lines where she sounds like a real normal person, like the way that normal people would react. It's not like overacted at all. It's really well done. I love that. Also, in my notes, again, it says the Baron is cool, so I have to make a note of that because the Baron is cool. I don't know. Like, I can't get into this. Basically, she gets taken to the Cat Kingdom, and the Baron has to save her because she starts turning from a human into a cat. And they have to get her out. It's weird. It's really fucking weird. There's a part where they're celebrating her being their princess, and there's a knife thrower, and he knocks the top off of a female cat, but because she's a cat, she doesn't have anything underneath, but she still covers herself up and runs away screaming. This one broke my brain. This one really broke my brain. I cannot with this one. Oh my god. The Cat Returns is weird. I really don't know. Coma wants me to put on something from second. Well, since we reached the end of the Cat Returns, Relaxing Bravely Second music? Thank you, Xenon. You're useful. You're very helpful. Okay, yeah, that works. My throat's getting sore from screaming about Ghibli movies. Oh boy. Okay. It's time. I need to take a big sip of water for this one. This might be the longest discussion because I have a lot to say in my defense. Howl's Moving Castle. Remember earlier when I said that people were going to be very angry for Howl's? The only reason it's at the top of C is so that people aren't that angry. No, it's not. I do enjoy watching Howls over these two, but, oh boy, where do we begin with this one? Oh, man. So, here's the thing. I am aware there's a book. I have read the book. I didn't even know there was a book the first 2 times I watched this movie. I want to make that very clear, so that people don't think that I'm just doing a, the book is better kind of deal. No. I didn't even know there was a book until after the second watch. Okay? Never even knew. I just thought that Studio Ghibli movie was the only existence of Howl's Moving Castle. And everybody under the sun has said that this is like one of, if not the best Studio Ghibli movie. And I cannot disagree more. This is the one where I said I am a hater on. I am a hater for Howl's Moving Castle. Somewhat. I think I don't remember much about this movie, but I remember specific scenes that left a strong impression. I didn't know about the book either. Yes, so... Okay. When I first watched it, I watched it in, like, university, like, 3, maybe 4 years ago. Okay? And when I watched it the first time, I felt like something was off with the story. And as you know, I'm a big story person. Like, whenever it comes to reviewing things, I really, really pick on story. Like, it's known at this point. I really pick on story and music. And there was something about the story in this movie that just irked me. I don't know what it was. I couldn't figure it out. I knew there was something wrong with it. I didn't like it. Rewatching it for this little Ghibli journey, I felt the exact same way I did the first time I watched it. Literally the exact same emotional response as when I first watched it. I am not joking. It was dead to rights, to the T, the exact same feeling on the second watch. So I started talking about it with Koma, who... You can all blame her for the reason I'm so against Howl. But she told me that there was a book. So I got the book. I read the book. It's one of the best goddamn things I've ever read. It is so good. And reading it, every single chapter I finished, I got angrier. I got more and more pissed off at how much of a disservice this movie does to the book. It is absurdly frustrating how much the movie deviates from this book. Now, I should make it clear. The first 30 minutes of Howl's Moving Castle, the movie, is more or less the same thing. It's pretty close. It follows it as closely as I would expect a movie adaptation to follow it. And I want to make this also clear. I do not ever expect a movie to do a one-to-one adaptation of a book. I think that's a terrible idea because it shows you have no originality of your own. And also, there are some books that just really should not be done one-to-one because it would be a fucking nightmare to watch. Today I learned there was a book. Yes, I am going to spread the word of the book. So, there was a book for Howl's Moving Castle. It was written before the movie, obviously, by Diana Wynne Jones. It is phenomenal. I am not even lying when I said this. I've been reading for 25 years. I've been reading my whole life. Reading since I was in the womb. I'm joking. But I've been reading, like, a lot since I was young. I wish I read this when I was a kid. This is one of the best books I've ever touched. It is so good. the amount of detail, the flow of the story, the way that it's told like a fairy tale, because it's all, the whole thing is about fairy tale tropes. The way that a detail will be introduced on like the second page in a very, very hands-off, passing by, fleeting comment that then becomes very important later on down the line. Like, it's so impressive. I really love this book. And I'm not going to spoil, or I'm going to try not to spoil any of the events in the book that are different from the movie, because I recommend you go out and read it. It is, I have it here in my hand and I'm shaking it around. It is so good. I really love the book. Yeah, it's a great book, amazingly written, my favorite book ever. Yeah, exactly, Colin, you're right. It's really good. It's not like super long either. Like it's 280 pages. It's not a short read, but it is very good. Anyway, so I read it and it pissed me off because I have never seen an adaptation be so disrespectful to the source material. I'm going to be honest here. It's kind of disrespectful what Miyazaki did to Howl's Moving Castle. Because what I noticed as I was reading this is that the war didn't exist. There's no fucking flying machines. And it doesn't... The war is in the movie, is in the book. But it's nowhere near the same amount as in the book. The book, it's like a passing by comment here and there. It shows up once or twice as part of the plot. The war is constantly shoved in your face in the movie. And this is where I think Miyazaki's faults begin to show. Because if he is allowed to, he shoves his idiosyncrasies into every goddamn work he makes or touches. So with Howl's Moving Castle, there was a little war that was kind of in the background. Now it's the forefront of the movie and heavily dictates what happens. I can tell you exactly where the movie splits off, actually. The scene where Howl has a temper tantrum because his hair turned black after Sophie messed with the bottles and he starts turning into green slime. That is the last scene that is exactly the same as the book. Everything before that is pretty close to the book. As soon as that scene with the green slime ends, treat them as two separate things. They are almost nowhere near the same after that point. And it's so upsetting because there's so much cool stuff that happens in Howl's that never had a chance of existing in the movie. I feel that like Miyazaki's obsession with like anti-war sentiments and flying machines just completely distorted the vision of the book, and he just turned it into his own thing. And then by the end of the movie, the last 15 minutes are like, oh shit, it's Howl's Moving Castle. We have to wrap up the plot threads that we introduced when we were actually following the book. And it just turns into a fucking nightmare. I hate the last 15 minutes of this movie. It is atrocious. It is actually atrocious watching them try to tie up so many loose ends like that with stupid character decisions and behaviors and just like all these really like just speeding pace through all the plot points to finish up the movie. I fucking hate the ending of Howl's Moving Castle. The first 30 minutes, pretty good because it follows the book. But yeah, and you know what? You want to know something else? The day I learned the definition of vindication was the day that I read the author's interview at the back of Howl's Moving Castle, because she was asked what her opinion on the movie was. And it was the exact same sentiment I said. Now, granted, it was in much nicer words, but she said the exact same things that I felt about Miyazaki's adaptation. Let me see. Where was the quote? I have it in my hand, so... Where you wrote it? Let's see here. Animated Howl. Here it is. What did you feel when you heard that Howl was to become an animated film? One of my main feelings when anything I write is adapted for another medium is astonishment at how many people it takes to do it. Yes, I do have some more praise for Howl's coming up, which relates to this, but yes, film, play, or dance are all essentially team projects. This realization is followed by amazement at the way every detail is subjected to huge attention. A sort of, if I'd known you were going to have take all this trouble, I wouldn't have made it so complicated. This guilty feeling is, if I'm lucky, followed by delight. A quite different work of art. It has been created on a basis provided by me. It is a fact that a book has to be altered in order to come over on screen or on the stage. A book can give you the inside of a person. All other media can only give you the outside. Did you like the film? This is the one I was looking for. I thought it was wonderful. It was rich and strange, and the animation was beautiful. I loved Miyazaki's work for many years, long before I knew he was going to make a film of my book. When we eventually met, I found that he understands my books in a way no one else has ever done. He did, of course, introduce his favorite obsessions into the film. He has to have flying machines. He crammed the story full of flying machines and war scenes on the very thin basis that the king in my book was planning a war. It's like, I realized this after finishing the book, and then I got to the end where that interview was, and I was like, okay, I am vindicated in feeling like this. It drives me nuts how different it gets. Now, I did say I have a little more praise for Howl's, so yes. The music, very good. Merry Go Round of Life is a very iconic theme. Love it. I think Howl's also has some of the best detail, rivaling Spirited Away in some of its scenes. Howl's bedroom is one of the best looking places in any Ghibli film. Like, it looks incredible. Okay? The voice acting is also really well done. Christian Bale as Howl is really good. I've also been told before that I know a lot of people rate Howl's highly because they just like Howl. And I've been told before that I don't feel this way because I am, as the gamers describe, a hetero. That is correct. I am not seduced by his wiles. He doesn't affect me that way. He is a good-looking man, and he's cool. But I don't care. I don't care. You're getting put in Sea Howl. Holy shit. The movie fell the fuck apart. I have to laugh. I have taught my brother about the book. He said it's an English book. Hip hip cheerio. Yeah, it is. But it's really good. Yeah, Howl's going there and see. I know a lot of people are going to be upset with me, but it is so disappointing how fast the second half of this movie falls apart. Like, it just turns to shit. It turns to absolute shit. And I really, really was upset. Yeah. Read the book. That's my opinion. I know, like, I don't want to do the book is better thing, but, like, this is, like, the most notorious example now of, like, book was better for me. Because now, this is the prime example of Miyazaki's obsessions with anti-war and flying machines and environmentalism and all these like themes that he loves doing. Just mangling a very good narrative just to fit into his box. So now I'm worried anytime I see that Miyazaki is doing an adaptation, I get shaky. His original stories, Mononoke, Castle in the Sky, those are fantastic. Do original stuff. Stop fucking with other people's works and shoving your ideas into them. I know I said earlier adaptations shouldn't be one-to-one, but you also shouldn't go in the other direction either and like just completely mangle the story. I hate the ending of Howl's Moving Castle. It reminds me of the Phantom Tollbooth. It was on the YouTube movie section for a few months back, and I watched it since style-wise it resembled Looney Tunes. I think I can tell that if I rewatched the movie, I would probably like it based on what I remember and what your complaints seem to be. The film and book it's based on became very different after a certain point. The author of the book doesn't seem to like the film. Yeah. Now we need to make Red read the first two Percy Jackson books and the movies. Oh, don't even get me started on that. I didn't even watch the second Percy Jackson movie. I watched the first one. First one was okay, but it deviated in weird ways. I read through all the original Percy Jacksons, the first 5. I didn't read any of the other spin-offs Rick Riordan went off on. Jesus. Dude found a money printer in real life with that series and its spin-offs. Anyway, let's see if we can get through the rest of this because my throat's starting to get sore and I don't want to lose my voice before we finish this. Okay. So here's the thing. I can actually watch Howl's Moving Castle is the thing. It's a good-looking movie, too. It has saving graces. It's more interesting to talk about and watch than Totoro or the Yamadas. So that's why it's the top of C. I say that I hate Howl's, but I don't... I think the story is fucking ass, but I do think there's good things about it. So that doesn't make it an entirely bad movie. Tales from Earthsea is an entirely bad movie. Everybody shits on this universally. It is, like, but it's pretty obvious this is the worst Ghibli film. Like, if Howl's is the Ghibli movie I hate the most actively, Earthsea is just what I consider the worst one, along with everybody else. Like, this is easily the most universal answer to what's the worst Ghibli film. It's Tales from Earthsea. It's so bad. My biggest problem with Tales from Earthsea is that it's lame. It's just really fucking lame. It's not particularly engaging. It doesn't have a super enthralling world or character or even a narrative. The narrative is... You couldn't get more cookie cutter than this if you tried. It's a circle. Like, you could not get more basic than this movie's plot. And I don't know how they managed that. Well, actually, I do. Because the reason why the plot doesn't work is because it's 5 different plots crammed together. One of which was one of Miyazaki's mangas. Now, this was directed by his son, but he took one of his father's mangas called Shuna's Journey and crammed it into the plot of 5 other books that were all smashed into one movie and made this pile of shit. Now, I have read Shuna's Journey on its own. It's really good. Read Shuna's Journey. It's a short manga. I picked up the French version while I was in Quebec to see Porter Robinson. I don't know why I did that, but it's really pretty. I like the art. I hope I can find an English version of it. But it's really, really nice. I really, really like Shuna's Journey. I'm so sad that it was shoved in mixed with Earthsea. Now, I don't think that this is a problem of the source material being bad. I just think it's a problem of trying to combine 4 books in a series into one movie. I don't know how they managed it. I don't think I know this movie. I don't mind if an adaptation of a work goes in different directions as long as it's good. There tends to be good reasons why it tends to go that route. Yeah, exactly, right? But, like, I do not like the direction that Howl's went. That's why I really hate it. Like, it's such a piss-off compared to what the things that they could have tried to do if they stayed with the book's plot as an adaptation. And I do not like the direction that they went. Anyway, enough about Howl's. We talked long enough about it. Tales from Earthsea. It's just fucking boring. It's very, very... Oh, I didn't even talk about what Howl's plot is. Everybody knows what Howl's plot is. A young girl named Sophie who lives in a country that is based on fairy tale cliches. She is the eldest, so she's supposed to be stuck in a hat shop while the other 2 go off on an adventure and get married as princesses or something. And she gets cursed by the Witch of the Wastes into being an old lady. So she sets out, joins Howl in his moving castle, and he's an eccentric, weirdo, lady killer type. And they have magical adventures. But in the movie, it focuses too much on war, and it's bullshit. It's just bullshit. Earthsea is considered to be a classic fantasy series, but yeah, don't cram 5 books into one. Yeah, no, it's fucking miserable. Like, I feel bad for the author of Earthsea series, because, like, I imagine there's some cool concepts in there, but fuck, was it butchered in this adaptation. It's just extraordinarily bland fantasy story. It is, like, the most vanilla D&D campaign imaginable. Also, Aaron murdering his dad makes no sense to me, and they mention, like, at the beginning of the film, like, the opening of the movie talks about, like, oh, the world's balance is off, and they keep mentioning it here and there. And then it's just ignored for, like, 90% of the movie, and then at the end they're like, oh, the world's balance is back. It's like, I don't remember you guys saying anything about the wizard throwing the balance of the world off. I don't... Was him trying to chase the power of life and death throwing the world off? What? What about the famines and the earthquakes? It really does not feel like it was well thought out. Ursula K. Le Guin is considered one of the greats, unfortunately. Oh, poor her. Poor Ursula. Alright, enough about Earthsea. I'm tired of talking about this fucking movie. It sucks. Let's get on to a fun one. Like Ponyo! It's Ponyo, everybody. We love Ponyo. Ponyo, you're above Nausicaa. Yeah, you're there. It's Ponyo! Everybody loves Ponyo. You can't rank Ponyo low. Ponyo's fun. This is one where, like, I would say, if I hadn't seen this when I was a kid, it probably would have ranked lower, but I don't think it would have. It's definitely more for, like, the age group that watches Pompoko and Totoro, but it's also got some nice themes, you know, again, the environmentalism, you know, taking care of our oceans and all that, and rising sea levels and climate change and all that stuff. But it's just a really cute kids movie about a little goldfish who wants to become a real girl and live with her human boyfriend who's 5 years old. No, it's cute. It's really cute. I like Ponyo. The art style's really nice. I love the colored pencil drawing style to it. It's really pretty looking. Really great performances, fun ideas here and there. Apparently I watched Ponyo, but I remember nothing from it. Go do yourself a favor. Watch Ponyo. It's really adorable. It's just nice. It's just a nice movie. I really, really enjoyed Ponyo. I don't really have much more to say. It's cute. Like, it's cute, but it's more fun than, like, Totoro and Pompoko. That's why it's all the way up here. It's really nice. Yeah. Alright, we're going to pause this again for a second, because I want to find a certain song. Oh, man. Yeah, this works. Nope. Arietti. I want you guys to take a guess about this one. Actually, though, I'm putting it on music, so like that kind of ruins it already. This one was a very big surprise, even to me, where it went. Gotta go about that. Yeah. All right. I'll see you later, D20. Thanks for coming on out, Thoob. Arietti. This is another surprising pick. It's my third favorite. It's in my top 3. Thanks for stream. Okay. No problem. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. Arietti. Oh my god. This was so good. Like, I did not expect to love this movie as much as I did, but it was stellar. It was really, really, really good. Maybe it's because it was a book adaptation that doesn't suck, and it wasn't done by Miyazaki. They let somebody else take over for Arietti. Man, where do I begin with this one? I knew what it was going to be about, because I remember seeing advertisements when I was a kid for Arietti. It was about... It's one of those typical, you know, Arthur and the Invisible type stories with a bunch of little people living in your house. And, you know, what do you do? When I grew up, I watched Arthur and the Invisibles, the Snarks, or Back to Gaia, as some people call it. I should make a video about that movie. That is a weird fucking movie. Yeah. Anyway, but I'd seen movies like that. Hadn't seen Arietti. And watching it now, it is such a vibe. Arietti? I can't remember if it's Arietti or Arietti. I'm not sure. I think in the UK one they say Arietti, which is why I'm saying Arietti, because I watched the UK dub, because there was a UK dub and there was an American dub, and I like the UK dub a lot more. I listened to some clips from the American one, but I much prefer the UK dub. So yeah, this is just like a boy with a heart condition goes out to the country to live with like his grandmother, I think, for like a week or two before he goes in for heart surgery. So he's just going out there to relax, to get away from the city and everything. Again, it's the same fucking themes over and over. But what he doesn't know is that this house is inhabited by the borrowers, these little people who live in the house and borrow things from humans to survive. His aunt, thank you, Coma. Coma's just here to fact check me, thank you. And it was really pretty. So, like, one thing, I'm playing the music for it. The music is all this, like, very Celtic-y, you know, it had this very Celtic-y sound, and I said in the Octopath 2 review that stuff hits really close to home for me, and it did exceptionally well here. The same way that I felt when listening to, like, A Verdant Wind Blows. Like, it really, really hit watching this movie. I do recommend the UK dub over the American one, personally. I think it's nice. It's got Tom Holland. It's got young Tom Holland in it, which is cool. One of the things that I really picked up on while watching it is that when people do these kinds of stories, it never really feels like... It either feels like they introduce the people as being tiny, but then everything just seems very normal. Except for, like, maybe a handful of references to, like, things that, you know, remind you, oh yeah, these are tiny people, but then everything else just seems as though they're normal size. Or it feels too foreign, and they don't feel like they're tiny people anymore, they just feel like an alien race or something. Arrietty manages to walk the line perfectly by constantly reminding you that they are tiny people living in a human-sized house. And with, like, just the ways that they use things that humans have for other purposes, like using earrings as, like, little hooks to climb curtains, or whenever they pour a liquid, they don't pour it out in a stream, it pours out in big globs, like a big droplet, because at the size that they're at, that's what the water tension would be like, and they only would need to pour a little glob of stuff, right? And it's really, really satisfying to see that happen. I'm putting on A Verdant Wind Blows. Fuck it. This is a sad song. I don't want a sad song for Arrietty. Actually, can I find this one? No. That one doesn't... That one's not on here. That's okay. Actually. Give me a second. Last minute cancellation of my game. Hey! I'm sorry to hear about your cancellation, but you get to stay around as we talk about Arrietty. Hold on. This. Okay. I managed to find this track. Now. So, take really awesome music, great visuals, a nice, simple story about people trying to hide from humans in this house, and the constant reminders of the proper sizes. And this culminates in one of my favorite movie scenes of all time now. Like, not just outside of Ghibli. There's this one scene in this movie that I adore when this song plays, With You. And it happens when Arrietty's mother... It happens when Arrietty's mother gets captured. And so she enlists in Sho's help, the boy, finally, after they had finally talked to each other directly and she allowed him to see her for once. They finally team up to make their way around the house to save Arrietty's mom. Because he's human, he can easily get her around instead of, like, the hour it would take for her to navigate. But she can, like, squeeze through broken windows and unlock things that he can't get through. And just the way that they, like, very simply complement one another in navigating this threat to Arrietty's mom is just, to this song, I love this scene to death. Like, it is incredible. I truly think this might be one of my favorite Ghibli scenes, if not one of my favorite movie scenes ever. I really, really like that scene a lot. It's got the most bittersweet ending of any Ghibli movie. I'll say that right now, where the two of them part ways, and Arrietty has to leave, and Sho gets to go and have his heart surgery. But the two of them, they're always going to be in each other's hearts. And it's really sweet. It was really good. I was surprisingly touched by Arrietty, and I really, really enjoyed it. More than I ever expected to. Like, I thought it was going to be maybe an A, maybe B tier. I thought it was going to be generic, Little People in the House story. No, it was, like, really, really solid. Yeah. Yeah. And the soundtrack, it's so good. Cecile Corbel did incredible on that soundtrack. Alright. What's next? From Up on Poppy Hill. The other Goro Miyazaki movie that I watched. So where did this one go? Okay. This is an A. How do I explain this one? I have to be very careful about the order in which I reveal things about this movie for people who haven't seen it. Because if I don't say things in the right way, people are going to think I'm a weirdo. Not that they don't already, but I don't want people to think I'm this kind of weirdo. From Up on Poppy Hill is another school romance story that takes place, I believe, in like the 1950s or late 40s, possibly. I'm not sure exactly. I can't remember. Maybe the 50s or 60s. I can't quite remember. It's somewhere around there. I want to say 50s. And this girl raises flags at her house on top of Poppy Hill every day because her father was lost out at sea, and it's her way of trying to call him back home. And when she goes to the school the next year, she starts falling in love with this guy. And so it starts off as a normal... For the first 40 minutes, it's like, okay, we're building up like a school romance and dealing with the loss of your father. And then a thing happens, and then the next 40 minutes, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, not because I'm excited for them to get together, but because I'm waiting to figure out which shoe is going to drop and see if this movie ends nicely or if it's going to end horrifically. Because the reveal halfway through the movie is that the boy was adopted by another family and is actually her half-brother. And I have never been more uncomfortable for 40 minutes watching a movie, waiting to see which way this was gonna go. I swear to God, it was so uncomfortable, because for like the first 40 minutes, you're cheering for them to get together. It's like, yay, you're falling in love. Wait a minute, you're related. Oh no. Oh no. Oh my God, it's... It is rough. It is so rough to sit through for the first time. Because when they made that reveal, there was only 3 ways that it ends. Either it ends the most generic way it could, which is that they find out they're not actually siblings and it was just a misunderstanding, which is boring but safe. Take a guess at which one they went with. It's that one. But the other options were either they're still siblings and they still love each other, or they don't, but they manage to move on as people, which I think would be a much more mature and interesting direction to go. I'm not saying I want them to get together. I'm just saying if they loved each other but they know that they can't, it could be an interesting direction to take just for one movie. I'm trying. I am navigating a fucking landmine field with my words right now. This is... Oh, I'm just saying it would be interesting if like they still had feelings but didn't get together and like had to like accept that fact. That would be interesting for like a romance. Like that'd be so different. Because if it's not either of those 2 options, the third option is no. No. We can't do that. We can't do that in the Ghibli movies. We can't. You can't do that. No. God. Luckily, the last 5 minutes of the movie proves that they are not half siblings, and so they decide to get together. It's cute. It's nice. The part that makes it more uncomfortable is that, like, 10 minutes after the reveal, 10, 15... I want to say, like, closer to 20 minutes after the reveal that they were half siblings, quote unquote, they admit that they love each other and literally say, I love you, to one another. And it's like, it was mind-fucking me so hard. I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. Just please. At this point, I will take the boring ending if it means it's safe. Oh. As a side plot to the movie, it's about them saving, like, the school's Latin department, which is just like this old rundown building where all the boys clubs are, and yeah, it's like the side plot of the movie. It's interesting. From Up on Poppy Hill, great film. Jeez. This one gave me really big psychic damage going through. Oh my god, I have not been that tense in a long time. Oh my god. Goro, you make one good movie and it's like a suspense thriller that wasn't meant to be a suspense thriller. Holy shit. Okay. The Wind Rises. Wind Rises. Where's this one at? This one's in A. It's at the bottom, or it's almost at the bottom of A. No, it's at the bottom of A. Because there's something else there. Wind Rises is alright. It's a very serviceable A-tier movie. I can't fault it on anything in particular. It's enjoyable. It's just I don't love it the same way I do these. Like, these ones really moved me in some way, and this one just didn't. Like, this one was very close to it, but it did not enough to get it up into S. And Wind Rises, it didn't really move me in any particular way. It's a really nice story. I believe it's it's another Miyazaki book adaptation. Made by Miyazaki about this guy who developed planes for the Japanese. He's a Japanese plane designer. And it's... yeah, like, it's good. I like the romance in it. I think the romance plotline was really nice. I really liked it. It was very nice, very sad. My friend Nacho made a joke saying sanitarium, or like sanitarium. But yeah, no, Wind Rises is fine. The most important thing is that it lets Miyazaki get his love for planes out of his system. So, you know, there's that. Wind Rises, A tier. I have nothing negative to say about it. Planes, yes. The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. Well, there was only 5 slots for S tier, and this is number 5. Ah, what a good movie. What a good movie. These have more rewatchability for me, just because they're a little bit easier to digest. Not saying that, like, this is a hard movie to digest. It's just, it's one of the longest ones. And you have to kind of be in a specific mood for it. But The Tale of the Princess Kaguya is very, very good. It is one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. Art style is phenomenal. Like, the whole thing is done like traditional Japanese paintings. Like, I gotta pull up some images of it. Like, these are all images from the movie. These are all stills from the movie. They're not like... And these are animated this way. Like, that's the way they look when they're animated. It is gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful. And yeah, this too is also a scene from the movie. Like, it is really, really good looking. I love the way this movie looks. I think it was one of the most expensive movies ever made in Japan. This scene right here. Okay, I'm glad this one popped up. Can we get a more... Oh, yeah, that's about as clear as it's going to get, because this scene right here, the scene where she runs away from home, and, like, the way it turns into, like, this really chaotic mess. Oh my god, I was stunned watching that sequence. It's so good. It looked so incredible. If you don't know the movie, it's about it's based on the old folk tale of the bamboo cutter. It's an old Japanese folk tale. Um, and it's just really, really solid. Like, very, very well made film. Um, great VA work too. I think the English dub was fantastic. Uh, it's also probably like even Grave of the Fireflies is a little bit hopeful with its ending because at least Seta and his sister are reunited at the end. This is the only one I would consider here that has like a sad ending. Like every other one of these movies has like a hopeful ending or a bittersweet ending or something. This one's just sad. This one just ends on a sad note, and it hurts. Like, it's rough. But it's really, really good. I highly recommend it. If you haven't, like, obviously you've heard of, like, these four, but, like, of all the S tiers, the one I want people to see the most is, like, this. If you haven't seen it. Because this is, like, I think this is, like, really slept on. I don't know how much people talk about this movie, but it is really, really pretty. I really recommend it. It is a long watch. It is a bit slow, but it is good. I really recommend The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. Big recommend for me. Love that one. And yeah, again, this scene, when you get to this scene where she runs away, is phenomenal. All right, we got two more. We're almost done. We're almost done. Two more. Why are you still here? You're supposed to be up here. When Marnie was there. Okay, so this is one I got a bit of a weird opinion on. You were in B. I should probably watch every single one of these movies, to be honest. Yeah, that's why I did I went through all these, is because like I wanted to make sure I saw them all. Okay, so When Marnie Was Here. When Marnie Was Here is about a young girl named Anna, or Anna. I say Anna because of fucking Bravely Second, goddamn fairy. A young girl named Anna who goes and moves to the countryside with her aunt and uncle for summer. And while she's there, she comes across this old mansion on the other side of a lake. And she goes there at night, and there's like an old-timey party going on, and she meets a young girl in a dress named Marnie. And the two of them start becoming friends, but it starts kind of getting a bit weird on whether or not she's imagining Marnie, or if Marnie's like a ghost, or if she's a figment of her imagination, or if Marnie's actually real. It's not really made clear what's going on in that one. And I'm going to be spoiling the end of this movie because I kind of have to talk about it for my opinion on this one. But Anna is an adopted kid, and she's very lonely. She doesn't really fit in with anybody. And I'm going to be totally honest here. When I was watching this, I was beginning to wonder if this was a queer film. I was like legitimately beginning to wonder if like Anna was either trans or gay because she has very short hair. And I know that's not like a signifier of all, I'll just make that clear, but like it was usually Ghibli girls have a very specific look to them, right? They have a specific look to them. So when I saw Anna, I was like, that's odd. That's really different compared to most protagonists. So I was wondering if this was going to be like a movie about finding yourself and accepting, like, coming to terms with yourself if like you're gay or anything like that. A good message movie, like a different message from like anything that had been shown before. I was like, okay, this is different. Especially when Marnie and her say "I love you" to one another. They just say it at one point before Marnie can even explain who she is to her. And that like kind of cemented it for me. It's like, okay, is this like a gay romance movie? Like I genuinely cannot tell. And for like this entirety of like the last 40 minutes, right up until the last 5 or 10 minutes, like 40 minutes right before the end of the movie, I have never been on the edge of my seat more. Like, I was very hooked by what was going on. Like, no movie has ever made me want to know what the plot twist was more than Marnie. Because I was like, what is going on here? You are not explaining anything. Please explain yourself. And then they did, and I was very disappointed. The ending was the most generic wrap-up they could have done. The plot twist at the end is that Marnie was never real, and that basically Anna's mother died after getting in an argument. Sorry. Anna's grandmother was named Marnie. Anna's mother left home, and she died in an accident after giving birth to Anna. Marnie took care of Anna when she was really, really young and doesn't remember, but Marnie used to tell her all the stories about the summer house her family went to, and it's a cop-out. It's a really big cop-out. I really did not like it. So basically, her grandmother used to tell her all these stories about when she was a little girl about the summer house she'd go to, and Anna was reliving those memories of playing with Marnie, her grandmother, but she was too young to actually remember it, so she was misinterpreting it as her imagination, and then she's kind of like okay with herself at the end of the movie. And it was just, yeah, it was a cop-out. It felt really, really cheap. I was really, really disappointed by that ending. I feel like it could have gone a lot more interesting ways. Like, there's so many more interesting options, and it just fell into genericity. So that's why it dropped all the way from like high A to mid B for me. Like, it's still a good looking movie. It's still got cool plot points, and it really kept me on the edge of my seat until that reveal. But the reveal was very disappointing. Like, seriously, seriously disappointing. All right. We're finally on the last one. I don't think I'm going to have a lot to say about this one, because this one's a weird one. But The Boy and the Heron is in the bottom of A, or the second last of A. This is a tough one. The closest movie that immediately came to mind when I was watching it, and this is going to be like the most pseudo-intellectual thing I ever say, the closest movie that came to mind when I was watching it was End of Evangelion. I'm not joking. That was the first one that came to mind. It has a lot of very weird stuff going on in it. The plot is not like a super... It's not a super strictly stringent plot. It's not super linear. It kind of has that weird meandering thing going on. And it's not like necessarily a bad way. It just kind of wobbles around to like a bunch of different themes and set pieces. For those who haven't seen it, I'm seeing that people are saying they've seen this one, but the one I watch in theaters, not due to Ghibli Fest. To give a very brief plot synopsis, Boy and the Heron is about a boy who moves into a new house, rather an older house that his family owned over the years, and there's a tower in the backyard that this crane keeps trying to lead him to, this crane on the property that talks to him. And eventually he wanders in there with one of the older housemaids, and the crane turns out to be a dude in hiding and pretending to be a crane, and his uncle's a wizard that still lives in the tower, and the tower is actually like a portal, or is this other world that was created by the wizard uncle's deal with a meteorite. And the boy descends into this crazy, crazy world, exploring it, and at the end he's offered the chance to gain control of the world and create it in his own way, but he decides not to because he struck himself in the head at the start of the movie with a rock because he was upset, I believe, and wanted to... I don't really understand. Like, we'll get to the meaning, but he struck himself in the side of the head with a rock on purpose at the start of the movie, and he's like, no, I cannot be left in charge of this world because I still have malice, and I do not want this world to be tainted by malice, so the world collapses and he escapes the tower. It's really weird. Also, his mother died in a fire when he was really young, so he reconnects with, like, the spirit of his mom, but younger. The whole movie's weird. And that's why I kind of equated to End of Eva, because it has a lot to do with, like, personal connections and family, and the world is, like, really weird, and shaping a world in your image. You know, a lot of that resonated with End of Eva for me. It's nowhere near as obscure as End of Eva. However, ultimately, my biggest takeaway is that I think The Boy and the Heron, and I thought of this today, and I think this is, like, the most accurate way I can describe the movie. It's a movie that holds much deeper meaning to Miyazaki than any of us will ever be able to decipher in our lifetimes. No one, no YouTuber, no film analysis, no one is going to be able to give a truly encapsulating summary of what this movie is actually about, unless it came from the mouth of Miyazaki himself. And he's not going to give it to him, because it's not going to give it to us, because this was apparently made for his children. It's meant to be a movie for them, the messages, and I think that's fine, ultimately. A lot of the stuff in it feels like it means way more to him, and it's not that I'm unwilling to engage with it, it's just that I don't think I'm going to understand it because it wasn't meant for me. And I'm okay with that. I should watch it a couple more times. I only did watch this one once, and it was very recently. But it's good. Go in knowing that it's not going to be, like, the most blatantly coherent thing. Go in expecting it to be a bit weird and in different places. But yeah, it's good. The voice acting performances in the dub were very fun. It does lack some of the whimsy of older Ghibli films, though. Like, it's nowhere near as whimsical as Spirited Away, another one that's kind of, like, of the same tone, but this one has, like, way more, like, very clear meaning behind it. I'm not saying, like, this has no meaning, but, like, this is way more of, like, a metaphorical thing rather than Spirited Away, I would say. My headphones just turned off. But yeah, this has way more whimsy to it. This has more whimsy. Even this has a little bit of whimsy compared to The Boy and the Heron, I would say. This one, it's a bit weirder. Yeah, but it's not bad. It's definitely not bad. All right. Well, I managed to get through the list without anyone completely getting upset, but I'm going to post this as a video later, so eventually somebody will probably be screaming at me about this. Like, I know people are going to be upset about this. But I hope I explained my points enough to really make it clear. And that's the list. That is the list, though. Yep. Poor Castle and Dragon. I mean, Earthsea had it coming. Howls I have my own problems with. That's a personal grudge. Take a screenshot of that. We'll hold on to that for a bit. Alright. That was 2 hours and 15 minutes of... 2 hours and 16 minutes of me ranting about Ghibli films. You got an ad for Mike's Hard Lemonade. Hello, Skies. What's that? It's an alcoholic drink. Yep. Anywho, I didn't even play A Verdant Day Blows. That's because I was put on that other thing. Lemonade for adults, yeah. Alright. That is the list. What do we think of it? People like the list, you hate it, despise it with your guts. If you're watching this on YouTube after I did the stream, let me know in the comments below what you think of this list. I'm not asking, like, do you agree with it, because I know that this is such a wide thing that really matters on, like, you know, your own personal opinions. I think I need to watch these movies. Absolutely watch Ghibli movies. They're so good. Of course, all my best recommendations are going to be the S tier. So, like, watch anything in S tier. That's all good. A tier, they're pretty decent for the most part. From Up on Poppy Hill is it's a tough one to... I can't really say it's a tough one to recommend, but, like, just go in knowing it's going to be uncomfortable. B tier's not bad. There's a couple good picks in there, a couple not so great ones. C tier is and then D tier, just don't even bother wasting your time with Earthsea. I wish I could get back the 2 hours I spent on that. I don't even think it was 2 hours long, but felt like it. I think my list would probably be different. Yeah, I imagine like everybody's Ghibli list is different. That's the thing. It's like it's such a broad, you know, variety of movies that I think like every single person will have a different list that you ask. Yeah. Oh, goodness. I'm so tired. Yeah. But that is going to be it for me tonight. Thank you for everybody who came on out. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure to go check out the Octopath 2 review. It's 3 hours long, but I worked really, really hard on it. I'm getting really good feedback on it. I also have the new video on Wizard being the best Bravely job, just another opinion yapping piece. You can go check that out if you want to. I drank orange juice that expired a year ago, and now I'm seeing smells. Anyway, nice ratings. Epic! Synesthesia pilling. Alright. I'm scared now. Alright. I have a couple other video ideas in the works. I have a newcomer's guide to Bravely that I want to get out in the next few months. I have a RPG review that I want to do in October or November. I'm not revealing what it is, but if you pay attention to anything like I'm posting about or following, you can probably figure it out pretty quickly. But yeah, I'm very excited to talk about that game. It has brain rotted me very heavily. Yeah. Alright. That's going to be it for me tonight. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you soon. Oh yeah, and Bravely Default 2 on Thursday again. Peace!